Okay, so we are today looking at lesson 1-2, which is on words and expressions. The first thing that we're going to talk about, very simply, is numerical expressions. Very simply, a numerical expression is an expression. It's a mathematical statement that is a combination of numbers and operations. For example, 3 times 5 or 7 plus 9. Those are numerical expressions. Sometimes they'll give it to us in terms of a sentence instead of just a simple thing like the cost of 10 yo-yos if each costs $3. And I want a numerical expression. I don't want the answer, but I want a numerical expression. So in this case, if I want the cost of 10 yo-yos at $3, I'm going to multiply to figure that out. The other thing that we're going to quickly, and I'm going to briefly do for you today, or tonight, and I'm going to ask you to, in class, ask me how this actually came about, where this actually came from. But this is about the order of operations. Now, there is a story that goes along with this, but you're going to ask me that tomorrow in class. It's one way I'm going to know if you did this or not. But the order of operations is very simple. Number one, the first step, is to simplify inside the parentheses. Oop, no, let's back up. Okay, let's see if we could erase that. There we go. Inside the parentheses. That's the first thing. Second step is to evaluate all exponents. Third, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to multiply and divide from left to right. Let's spell that right. And it's so important that you do that correctly. And the fourth step is to add and subtract at the same time. And again, we're going to go from left to right. So let me show you some examples of that. The first example I want to show you looks like this. 20 minus 3 times 5. I look at this and there's no parentheses. Then I notice there's no exponents. So finally I go through and I'm going to go from left to right. I'm going to look for multiply and divide. Well, going through and doing that, there's a subtraction. That's not a multiply or divide, but that is. So I'm going to actually do this first. And the way I do is I always circle the operation I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 3 times 5. So that's going to give me 20 minus 15. Well, there's no more multiply or dividing in there, so all that's left is a simple subtraction problem, and 20 minus 15 is, of course, 5. Let's look at another one. Let's take 30 divided by 5 times 3. Now, what do you think you're going to do first in this problem? If you said 5 times 3, you wouldn't be correct. Instead, remember, we're going to go, there's no parentheses, no exponents, so we're going to go left to right, and we're going to do the division first, because that comes first in the order. And that's going to give me 6. And that's going to be 6 times 3, and then 6 times 3 will be 18. So you got to be really careful about that. I'm going to let you try one. You try this one. Let's see how well you do. 4, 10 minus 7, plus 2 times 3. Okay, stop the recording. You try this one and see how well you do. Alright, well let's see how you did. You should have done what was in the parentheses first. So this becomes 4 times 3 plus 2 times 3. I'll do the 4 times 3 next, because that comes first. That's 12 plus 2 times 3. And I'm going to jump over to the 2 times 3 to give me 12 plus 6, which should have given me 18. Raise your hand if you got 18. Did you raise your hand? Bet you did. And were people looking at you when you raised your hand? I knew that too. Let's take a look at these two problems. 5 times, actually, I want to make that a different. 5 times 11 minus 7 plus 5 divided by 4. And then I also want you to do this one, 60 minus 15 over 2 plus 7. Stop the recording, see how you do. Alright, so let's see if you got these right. If I do them, I would have taken that, 5 times 11 minus 12 divided by 4. I'm going to do 12 divided by 4 next. So that's 5 times 11 minus 3. Do the 11 minus 3, and that gives me 5 times 8, which will end me with 40. The next one's a little bit trickier, because on this one there's no grouping symbols, but what you actually have to do is you work top to bottom. Start with the 60 minus 15, and that's going to give me 45 over 2 plus 7. 2 plus 7 we know is 9, so that's 45 divided by 9, which gives me 5. Now you'll notice how I'm doing these step by step. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 problems on here that I would like you to do, and these are ones that you are going to bring in tomorrow so I could see whether or not you understood them. And here is the first one, 3 times 18 minus 6 plus 2 times 4. And the other one I want you to do is 2 times 3 plus 4 times 5. Okay, that's it for today. See you tomorrow in class.